Hi, this is Mark at Ding Dong's Garden. I want to talk about pruning mulberries to maximize production today. It's late summer. I don't have any fruit to show you, but I think I could walk you through what our plan is. We're building an orchard here, and we want to produce fruit for our local farmers market. And we want to do it in a way that it's accessible. We don't have to use ladders. And we've been in search of a pruning method that we can replicate every year that will help us maximize our fruit. So before we talk about pruning, I do want to talk a little bit about how mulberries fruit, the importance of node density, and the importance of branching behavior. And I think we won't take too long on that, but I think after that, even if you only have one tree and you want to know best how to prune that one tree, I think you'll get something out of this video. So we're going to start inside here in the hoop house. We put a portion of our orchard in this hoop house to generate heat, and that increases growth. And it also lets us spread out the season. So we'll get fruit on these varieties before we get fruit on the ones that are outside, because we're in a very cool environment here in the Pacific Northwest. And the first topic I want to talk about is node density. This is Gerardi Dwarf Everbearing, and it is a great tree. We haven't had a lot of luck in propagating it by rooting cuttings, but boy, it's a great tree. And one of the reasons it's great is that it puts out a very dense fruit set. And why is that? Well, let's talk a little bit about how mulberries fruit. So here, on every node, where the leaf meets the stem, you will see a little bud. And that bud, next year, will produce mulberries. Mulberries produce fruit on new growth. So a branch will emerge from this node and start to grow out. And as it grows out, it will set, anywhere from 3 to 5 to 7 mulberries along that branch. So mulberries, the main crop of mulberries, comes in the spring or early summer. And it is a result of a branch growing out of one of these buds. But if we go next to the plant next over here, we've got a Tice. And Tice mulberries operate under the same principle. If you, this is a kind of a big leaf Florida mulberry, kind of tropical. But we're very happy because it survives up here in the Pacific Northwest. So I like to grow it. It's a very nice tree and good fruit. So there's the Tice bud, and we're in September. So this will all lignify, and that bud will form, and if it survives the winter, it will create a shoot that grows out, and on that shoot we will see 3 to 5 mulberries. But one thing you'll immediately notice here on this Tice, that the distance between the two nodes here is quite a ways. So the node density on a Tice is not as great. Just one more example, this is a Black Prince, and you can see here the node distance is less than the Tice, but it is greater than the Gerardi. So Black Prince puts out a great mulberry, but not as many as Gerardi, but more than Tice. So we've talked about how mulberries grow. We've talked about the importance of node density on the quantity of mulberries. And let's talk about branching. So this is a Boysenberry Mulberry, and it puts out a great fruit set. And again, each of these nodes next year will create a shoot, and from that shoot, several mulberries will fruit off of that new wood. And this boysenberry is like the majority of mulberry trees. Mulberry trees generally do not branch in the growing season unless they're put under stress or you prune them, and there's a variety of ways that you can induce branching. But in general, mulberry trees do not branch during the growing season. So if you don't induce branching on this, you're going to be left with the same number of nodes that you have when you started the spring. But if you were to induce branching early in the summer, you would create more branches and thus more nodes that will fruit for you. We're late here in the summer, so it's kind of hard to see. Let me switch to the other side of this tree here. So this tree is a Kip Parker. And Kip Parker is just like Boysenberry or Tice or just about any other, the majority of mulberry trees. They do not want to branch during the growing season. But in this one started off the growing season with maybe, I don't know, maybe 6 to 10 leaders. And then after it fruited, I pruned it way down to the bottom of the tree. It's kind of hard to see here, but you can see all this, these side branches growing out from prunes I made earlier in the summer. And they've produced leaders that are probably 6 feet tall. And so I've exponentially increased the number of nodes that I would have if I had just not pruned it severely. So if you think about pruning a fruit tree, a lot of people will do it in kind of this gradual method. They'll have, it'll kind of gradually go up. But with mulberries, if you want to have them in reach, you're going to have to prune it down at knee height. That's gonna and these leaders will grow up and be within reach when you want to pick them next year. So it's a little hard to understand, but I'll pop back in here and we'll try to make it more clear in a minute. But before I do that, I want to show you, I want to go through this again here. So this is called Sweet Delicious. It's from Florida. It hasn't fruited for us yet, but it's got that traditional growth where, it doesn't want to do any side branching. It grows straight up. And right next to it is what is traditionally called an ever-bearing mulberry. And I'm not going to call them ever-bearing mulberries anymore. I'm going to put them in a class of mulberries that these will side branch during the growing season. So let's look here. This is interesting. So we're on this branch here. It's not doing any side branching, right? But we come over here to Jan's Best and we see that every node has already started growing during the year. And that's why when you see certain mulberries, like Jan's Best, Tide Dwarf, World's Best, Lakeland, Dwarf Everbearing, the key to those mulberries, that density, if you've seen pictures of them or if you have one yourself, it's just shocking how many mulberries the tree can have. And that's because they'll branch during the previous growing year. You don't have to prune it. You don't have to really do anything to get this thing to produce an enormous number of berries. However, if you want, this example is Galicia. If you want a mulberry that does not naturally branch during the year to produce a lot of mulberries, you're going to have to induce branching. And the best way to do that is to first coppice it back. Maybe this is about 18 inches off the ground, right? When you're first growing it. And then the first chance you get, you'll prune it again. So in this case, for Galicia, we waited until there was fruit. And then we didn't just prune it back a little bit, we pruned it way back. So you can see, it was pruned here, it was pruned here. And what that did is it created more branches. I got 1, 2, 3 branches out of that one. Pruning it here gave me 1, 2, 3 more branches. And that does several things. First, it gives you an exponential growth in the number of nodes, because each branch is going to have nodes. It takes the vigor that would have gone up into 2 or 3 trunks and spreads it out across a dozen or more trunks. And what that does is it slows the growth. It's not, if you have 10 branches coming off the same root system, they're going to grow less in height as compared to one branch coming off of the same root system. So you just don't get that kind of vigor. And by pulling back that vigor, you can keep it within reach. So these are all very easy to reach. And here's another example. This is Wakissa. And Wakissa is very vigorous. And this is our first round of cut was this year. And so you can see that first round of cut gave us a few branches. So right here, this is where I pruned it, and it's shriveled up, but that's where I pruned it. This branch came out, this branch came out, and this branch came out. So let's say there's about 10 liters off this Wakissa coming out of the same spot down there, but there's still way too much vigor, right? So next summer, so we're kind of committed for this next year, but next summer, to prepare for the following year, we will come in here and prune it again. So we'll just, we'll come up, maybe we'll leave maybe 3 nodes here next year in the early summer, and we'll prune it here, and we'll do the same thing on each of these branches. And you'll get this kind of tabletop effect where you'll have next year, instead of the 10 or 12 branches we have this year, next year we're going to have 25 or 30 branches emanating from this point that's maybe 18 inches off the ground. And so not a lot of fruit next year, but the following year we'll get this crazy amount of fruit coming off of in a very compact area that's easy to reach. So just to summarize, we maximize mulberry production by maximizing the number of nodes headed into the springtime. And we can maximize the number of nodes by increasing the branching by pruning yearly down low to the ground, which will create more branches for the following year. And the more branches you have, the more buds you have, and the more fruit you'll have the following year. And we'll be back here this winter, and we can show you this again, and hopefully it'll be a little more clear because we won't have all the foliage in the way. And then, of course, next spring we'll be out here to show you the fruit and what kind of fruit we get from our pruning method. So if you have any questions at all, please let us know, and everyone have a great day.